All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I may need to pause the live stream here shortly. Why? Because my roof is leaking again. It's great. Lennar Homes. What a beautiful builder Lennar Homes are. The chalkboard, it says, trading strategy means nothing if we allow emotions to trump logic. Very important. Our trading strategy is nothing if our emotions get in the way, right? Yep. All right, guys. I'll be right back. All right. We're back. So, roof is leaking. There is a possibility that I have to jump off the live stream if they need me. So, just a heads up here. Working on trying to get that fixed. So, let's just jump right into it. Got 1,000 different things going on today, man. Trying to get a roof built or fixed. Getting the live stream going. A lot of stuff going on. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Let's just jump right in. Let's get this done, and then let's get this day started. So, NASDAQ futures. If you guys hear banging on the roof, just know that's why. They're in my attic right now. And it's right above us. Right there. So, NASDAQ futures. Very important here. Previous highs, right? High, high. Look at these lows, guys. 22,890, 22,915, right in this area. That's the level to hold today, no doubt. Right? You can clearly see the rejections turning into support, right? And that is this, without a doubt, the most important spot to watch. You can see a little bit of short-term rejection stepping in today around the 23,000 psych level, and then also the 23,100 level as well. Now here's my concern today. Everything that you see here is within our Thursday action, right? So you have Thursday lows, you have Thursday highs, right? And you can see that the market is basically just trading right in the center of that Thursday range. So a little bit of a concern to get a real idea, right, about what's going to happen today. So for me, I'm really not too intrigued by this area today. I like looking for 899.15 as an opportunity today. Possibly short-term trading with a hold over 23,000, right? Something like this, a little hold over 23,000 into 23,100. I think that is very clean. We could look for that. And then obviously the 23,100 highs is where we'd be watching for that rejection. So first of all, I apologize, guys. Today's probably going to be a pretty distracted live stream, but we'll try to get as much as we can in today with the roofers on the roof in the attic. 22,890, 22,915, right? That's the key spot. And then if I'll show you something else, I want to show you this right here. There is a gap to fill on the SPY and the Qs, which is something to be a little cautious of. But for now, we are clearly holding that level, right? So if we look at this, look at this SPY, right? Here's your SPY, and you guys can see between 622 and 620, you have a $2, right? $2 gap right here. See that? That is Thursday. That's the Wednesday close into the Thursday open. That's a $2 gap on the SPY, which we have not filled, right? And actually, which is very interesting, is that is the exact level that's holding the SPY higher today. See that? That exact gap fill spot is where you're holding. So that's interesting today. Do you have to fill this gap? Technically, you don't if the SPY continues to hold above it. So something to be paying attention to there. So NASDAQ futures, let's just clean this one up. Let's finish this. You guys can see NASDAQ futures, very key demand, 890, 915. Holding, 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 holding at the previous rejection points. That's very clean. You fail below 890, you probably get your downside to 800 today. Okay. If we go to the ES, we can see a very similar picture. The S&P 500 holding above the 6270, 6260 lows. I'm sorry, highs from last week. Rejections, rejections, rejections. Holding as new lows. You can actually see here in the pre-market, we have a very clear 6290 spot that's holding right now. This is also a little gap fill from this overnight session, the Sunday futures open. So 6290 and then right here at 6270 are my next two major demands. So 6290 could hold, 6270 could hold here and here. I like those spots, and then of course the 6330 highs. Now again, what I'll say, everything that you are trading in from here, right, to here is all Thursday's range. So you are trading on an inside day right now when you look at Thursday's action. So something to consider. We'll have to be careful up at that 6330. My favorite pullback is absolutely back to 6070, right? 6260, 6270, back to this high, back to this high. Give me that pullback, right? And then I'll look for that nice pullback long. That would also give me the gap fill. So if we come back down to that 619, 620 zone, that would fill our gap, right? And that could be a very interesting pullback long. If I go once again to the highlighted out or the extended hours, you can see there's your gap. See that? Gap fill would be back to 620, back to the 619 high. That would be a little bit more I'd be a little bit more confident in longing here than I would be longing in this before this gap fill. For now, the SPY is holding that gap fill level, right? So you still have that below. So if we go, once again, I'll show you here. Look at this, right? You can see the SPY is holding the gap level. Below it, you have a gap fill back towards this demand. Right here is all after hours action, and that is a gap right now on the chart. If we go to the daily chart, we can see, right? Take a look at this on the daily chart. See that daily chart on the SPY? Look at this gap. So something to think about, right? Maybe we need to see that gap fill before we get aggressive on the long side today. That could be very nice, okay? QQQ, same exact concept, right? QQQ has that same gap on the daily chart. You can see right here, right? That gap gets filled back down towards this 550, 551 demand, which is a very strong demand, 550 to 549 area. For now, I do like the hold right here at this 550, 250 spot. This is a nice break and retest, right? Previous highs, previous highs. Look at these lows stepping in, right? Rejection, rejection, holds 550, 250. Below that, 550, 549. For now, you know, I'm a little bit uncertain about what happens in between this Thursday range. There's a few ideas I have, right? I truly believe that this could be a little bit of a tough spot here on the QQQ at this 555.60. These lows, that could be a little bit of a gap fill reversal, right? Because this is a gap down on the market. So if you get a little gap filled back towards 555.60, that could be where this starts to fail a little bit. Maybe Friday's close. Friday's close is really 555.85, 84, right? So I'm a little bit cautious. And I mean, basically all of this is alleviated if we could just get a gap fill before we long, right? So here's the concern I have, right? If you're too aggressive to the long side today, you could get smacked on this rejection. Obviously, you can get hit on this high, which could just be the correct move to get your gap fill long, which has been a very, very common thing on this market, right? Pullback longs are the best longs. If we look at the SPY, that would be pretty much right in this like 625 area. See this 625 area? There's some concern that we sort of fill this gap right here and then reject. So I'm going to keep that on my charts today just to understand that a push higher from this point would be back into the close of Friday and then obviously back into the highs, the close of Thursday and back into the highs of Thursday. And that would all be before we fill this gap. And the reason I'm cautious on it, once again, I'll reiterate this, is it is all within Thursday's price action. It is just basically an action between Thursday's action. It's just an inside day right now. So do you need the gap fill? That's the question. We'll have to see. For now, market looks strong, action looks strong, upside's coming in nicely. If we hold above Friday's close at 625, you likely go 626. And if you hold above 626, you're going higher, man. You're going higher. The only thing that should be in the back of your mind is that we are holding above a gap, okay? So just know that. So S&P 500. They're literally right above me. 6330, 6290, 6270, 6260. NASDAQ futures, this 23,000 spot, sort of interesting. All right, you can see SPY is coming up into that gap down and that gap fill at 625. QQQ, 555.85, 557, and then again, gap fill below. The one thing I do like about the QQQ here on the hourly, this is the only thing I like, is that we did pull back, right, and retest these highs right here. That I do like. That I do like. If we get under that 552.50 though, then I think you're going to see your gap fill and your 550 demand step up. Okay? So here's your very big level in the sand. Let's go to the IWM real quick. IWM, you guys can see right here. IWM has made a very nice move off the 200, and it's doing the pullback long that you're looking for right here. 220.60 highs. Look at this level. This would be your very nice retest long in the IWM if you can get a pullback to that level. 220.50, 220. Below that, you trade back to 217.50. So here's your two spots. I would love to see the IWM pull back to this high and hold right here. Right here. 220.50, 220 area. That would be a great watch today. Dow Jones. Oh man, what an incredible hold on Dow. 44,700 holding still. Right, you can see right here. 44.7, 44,450s. 45,177 highs. It's sort of running away with it, to be honest. As long as the Dow is above this high, you're good to go. Let's go SMH real quick. So SMH, if you want to look to trade the semis again today, which have been the best sector to trade, take a look at this SMH. See these highs? 280. Look at what's happening here. That's very nice. Now, here's my only concern with the semis today. Do you need to fill some of this straight up move from Wednesday? The 50% retracement is about 278 on this move. So if you take it from this low to this high, look at this 50%, 61.8% retracement. That's a fill of around this 278. So right here, you can see 278. I like that pullback as a long opportunity. You might need to fill some of this straight up move. That's my only concern. But for now, 280, 280.50, definitely a hold spot. Over 283, you continue to the upside. Right here. 283, above that, 285, above that, all-time highs. 280, 280.50. Key holds for the semis today. If you break that, you're going to see downside on semis back to 278, possibly back to 275. That's possibly. All right, we'll watch these levels. But if you hold this 280 spot, you're moving higher. Watch 283. I'm actually going to set an alert at 283. All right, let's go through some individual equities. I think there's some great watches out there today. First one, let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla, we had a fantastic idea in the group on Tesla, the short side on Tesla, which played out beautifully. Just didn't execute it properly, didn't have enough time in my contract, so I did bail on the position. But we had a beautiful break and retest of the daily 20 and a beautiful rejection of that level. Daily 20, daily 50, daily 200. So please understand that Tesla is trading under all of these SMAs, and it's going to be very difficult to break back above those. You can see this is a perfect rejection of the daily 20 SMA on Tesla and that 320 spot. Lovely, lovely rejection. Now, here's where you need to be careful today, my friends. You need to be very careful getting too aggressive on the short side on Tesla into this 290 level. 290 is a huge, huge, huge high. Look at this. 290, 290, 290, 290, 290, 290. Major, major highs here on Tesla that are trying to hold at 290 right now. Look at this. So right here, this 290 to 295 zone, be very careful shorting into this today. You can see it's really trying to be defended right now, and that is a perfect hold above these 4-hour highs. Look at this. See this? Look at this. So if you break 290 today, if you fail under 290, I love the short side into 270 lows. From 290 to 270, I think is a great watch. But you have to break 290. If you don't break 290, you're going to get potentially caught up on the wrong side of this move. Now, What is Tesla very notorious for? Pops and fades. Pops and fades. I think pops and fades would be a great watch. So the first pop and fade level is 305. The next pop and fade level is the gap fill back towards this 200 SMA, back towards this 312. That would be my next spot. So right here, 312. All right, I'm going to put a little level there. They're up there working, man. Lennar. Short Lennar today. 305, 312, 320. Definitely potential pop and fade spots to be aware of. 305 is definitely important. You can see this Tuesday rejection all there at 305. Look at that level today. Look to see if a pop into 305 starts to become weak. Definitely something to watch. If you get over, or I'm sorry, if you break under 290, weakness comes in again for round 2. 290, line in the sand. I would definitely create an alert at 290, right there. 290 to 305 is the range you watch today on Tesla. If the semis find weakness today, I would love pullbacks on NVIDIA. You guys can see right here. NVIDIA 159.50, 160, definitely creating somewhat of a failure point, no doubt. I like the pullbacks to 156.50. I like the pullbacks to 155. And I love pullbacks between the 150, 153, and I will show you why. If we go to this daily chart, you guys can see on the daily chart, the 150 to 153 zone was the pullback to previous all-time highs, right? All within here. Check this out, right? See that 3-point zone? Major previous highs, major previous all-time highs, and look at the hold that stepped up between that zone. So if we go back to our chart and we take a look closer in, right? Look what happened between this zone. Huge. So I like pullback longs on NVIDIA. I would be watching anywhere between the 156.50, the 155, and of course this 150, 153 zone. And then just be careful of the 160 highs. And you're just going to have to watch what the SMH does, of course. AMD, lower high potential, needs more pullback in my opinion. You have previous major lows that turned into rejection highs. 140, 141. If this rejects again, you should come back down to that 130, 132. I'm sorry, 132, 133. And you also have a daily 20 SMA that is catching up the price action. So I would love to get AMD back down to that daily 20 SMA, back down to these previous highs, and then look for that long opportunity on this pullback. I would not be long into this lower high at 140, 141. Okay? This is the same concept for ARM. Take a look at ARM. Look at these highs. 148, 149, rejections, rejections, rejections. Look at the daily 20 SMA. Look where it's sitting. Pullback, 148, 149, I think would be the best long. I would wait for that. I would let that come to you. 158, rejection highs, definitely clear. So I would set some alerts between 158 and 149. I would not trade within here. I would wait for markets to trade here or above here. Joe, appreciate that. Broadcom, just a monster stock. What an incredible pullback long Broadcom was last week. Take a look at this 4-hour chart. Previous major highs. Look at that hold, guys. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. This was the chef. This is the chef. This is the Chef Joe trade right here. You guys can see right here, right? 262. Look at this hold over 268. Look at this hold over 272. Look at this stair step action. Here, here, here. Look at that stair stepping action. Gorgeous. So what are you looking for today? You're looking to see if 272 becomes a new low into a target of 277. And then you're looking to see if 277 turns into a new low, right? Into a target of new highs. It's beautiful. So today, 272, 277, 5-point range. Wouldn't trade within it. You can look for a long at 272 into 277, over 277 for new highs. Pullbacks also good, 268 and 262. Okay, very clean stuff on Broadcom today. Let's go to TSM real quick. TSM, really nice looking 4-hour pullback. Take a look at this on TSM. 230 highs, 230 highs. Look at this hold. This is very interesting as well today, guys. Look at these previous double top highs at 230. Look at this hold stepping in at 230. So I would definitely keep an eye to see if TSM holds that 230 today. If it does slip under 230, I think you're coming back to 225 to fill this straight up move. That will depend on what the SMH does today off this 280 level. Let's go to Meta. You guys can see here on Meta. Look at these highs. Look at this daily 20 SMA sort of sneaking right here at 703, 708 zone. So still very interesting on Meta to see if this 4-hour consolidation continues to trade. All right, take a look at this. Major highs. Look at this consolidation above those major highs. Now for me, I'm a little bit cautious on Meta because of that move on Thursday. Looks like it really got sold into. I don't quite yet know the spot to be careful of. For now, I'll probably just leave it at that exact high at like 729. But I think we're going to need a little bit more action this week to get an idea of where that rejection really is. For now, I'm just going to wait to see if it continues to hold this daily 20 SMA. See how that consolidation continues to come in. Amazon, one of the best stocks of the day, the cleanest chart of the day. And I posted this on X this morning. This thing is beautiful. So we've been talking about that pullback long at 218. This is exactly like Meta, right? Look at this and then look at Meta. See these? See how similar these are? See this pullback right here? Previous highs. See these lows? Look at Meta. Same exact thing. Highs, lows. Now Amazon has started to make its move. What did Amazon do? Amazon had these highs here at 222, and look at the support that came in above that. So you are now making higher lows, higher lows. Here's your low, here's your higher low. You are breaking and retesting this high. All right, look how clean that is. So Amazon is a really big watch today. You have that 218, 217 demand, which then had rejections at 222. You turn the 222 rejections, right, into new lows right here, right? Beautiful. Now your next level is 225. So what are you looking for today? You're looking for that 225 to turn into new lows to then continue this rally to the upside, right? Perfect structuring move. Here, here, and now you want here. So what do you need to see? You need to see 225 highs turn into new lows, and then you can look to take this for another ride. In my opinion, targeting 230. Really, really nice looking chart today. Definitely a big watch. Right here, right here, right here. Look at the structure. Boom, boom. There's your next structure. But you need to see a hold over 225. Really nice stuff there. Definitely a watch. Google's all right today. I would watch this 179 to see if that turns into a higher low, targeting that 182.50. And then likely, not my top watch, but definitely a big watch is going to be Apple and Uber. So here's Apple. You guys know we've been talking about that 215 on Apple. 215, 215, 215. Look at that 215. So big watch there on Apple at 215. Definitely a big watch there. Over 215. I like the move into 225. Uber. It's flirting with that all-time high breakout. This was an idea we had back at 82, like 3 weeks ago. This played out beautifully. You can see we are now holding over 90, and we just need a break at 94. You break over 94 and hold above it, you're seeing new all-time highs on Uber. Definitely a watch there. Robinhood. Pullbacks are your friend here. Pullbacks will fuel further upside. I would look for a pullback to this 90 spot. I would look for a pullback to this 85 spot. I would want this daily 20 SMA to catch up to price action. If we can get like a deeper pullback to 85 and the daily 20, I think that's a fantastic watch on Hood moving forward. So 85, 89, 90 area would be great pullbacks. I would definitely be watching those. Palantir, 136 needs to break right here. 136, daily 20 SMA. If you can get a hold above 136, that's good. You do not want to see Palantir turn 136 in the daily 20 into rejections. And then before we look at the final one today, if you guys could take a second, press that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Actually, there's two more. So press that like button. Netflix right here, 1305 to 1260. Over 1305, I like the long continuation. Over 1305, I like the long continuation. And last but not least, a watch that I'm going to have for the next few days is Circle. Circle has printed its first daily 20 SMA because it is now the 20th day of price action. The daily 20 SMA has shown up right at 165 and these previous highs right here. You have had a very low volume and structured pullback back to this 165 level and back to now the daily 20 SMA. If Circle can get above this 196 high right here, I believe you are looking at a strong move on Circle back towards 225, back towards 235. I will absolutely be watching Circle over 196 after a strong but controlled pullback with low volume back towards these highs right here and back towards that daily 20 around that 165 level. I like this week-long consolidation above that 165 level. If we can get above this 196, I like this breakout towards this 225, 235. This is definitely a watch for me today and pretty much all through the rest of the week. If we look at the daily chart, I think this is a great pullback that could result in that next move. The only place this breaks down is if you break under that 165 in daily 20, you might need back to that 120 area. So that is my only concern there. But this is a big watch today for me, CRCL. Bitcoin looks like it's a little bit lower today. It's Coinbase, I would be watching the 362 spot on Coinbase. All right, guys. So that's a quick recap of today. I have to run because I got roofers trying to fix their leak that's coming through my office roof. So that's more important to me right now. Got to make sure that my electronics don't get destroyed in a roof leak. So I'm going to go deal with that. I hope that this provided you a good insight on the day. Most important thing of the day, once again, just sort of give you the most important things. NASDAQ futures, these highs need to continue to hold, right? And the QQQ 553, 552.50 needs to hold. That's the major line in the sand. You hold above those last week's highs, not including this Thursday move. That is very, very good. Now, my only concern, once again, for the day is you are trading within Thursday's action. That's my only concern of the day. Be a little bit cautious of what happens between this Thursday action. Very frothy upside Thursday. Just a little bit aware that that could be tough. And again, number one thing to look for and the best long to take is a gap fill long on the SPY, in my opinion. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to head over to the group. Obviously, if you guys are in the Discord, we'll be there live trading. If you guys want to come with us and trade with us there, make sure to check out the links down below. Have a fantastic day. Press that like button before you head out. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace and love.